Got my back.
Yeah, fuck
All right.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, yeah, we're live. So yeah, welcome everyone to the first Earth Awakenings live show. So yeah, the plan for this show is to do, it'll be pretty much daily. There'll probably be some, days off in between. But more or less it'll be on a daily basis, and probably not on Sundays, but there could be shows on Saturday. So yeah, it'll be kind of, Monday through Saturday. And with this events feature on Discord, it's pretty cool. It's the first time I've kind of been, experimenting with it, but it allows you to, be able to put events in. It's basically at the very top of the Discord. Like on the upper left, it looks like it gives me the option to start it. Okay, boom. Now I just started it. So I guess I didn't know if I had to manually start it or whether it automatically goes at the time, but it looks like I had to click it. So yeah, it looks like up at the top now it says live now. Yeah, so basically you can always check up in the events section for shows, and I'll try to do them, at least 24 hours before the next day, just so we know that there will be a show on that day. So yeah, if you just click on that event thing up at the top, it'll pull it up, and then it'll show what events are planned. So yeah, this will be a regular show that'll be on a daily basis at the same time. And then the design of this platform from the beginning was also to have within the 3 live stream rooms other shows and events, either debates or presentations, and anyone's welcome to host an event or to host a debate or presentation. Can just let me know. There's actually a ticket system. If you scroll down below all the voice channels, there's it says create a ticket, and you can actually click there, submit a ticket. So if you had an idea for a show, or if you wanted to host and moderate a debate yourself or a presentation or anything like that, either for this show, for this Earth Awakenings live show, or for a different time, like a different time slot, yeah, you can just submit a ticket there. And like I said, anyone's welcome to do that. And then, when you host your own show, you'll obviously have, some of the moderator permissions, like being able to, mute people and things like that, just so you can, be able to manage the show. But in terms of this show, this will be, the daily show, the Earth Awakenings live show at this time slot. It will go for about 2 hours. That'll be the main show time, and then there'll be an after show. So I'll probably stop the live stream and then start a new one for the after show. So we can obviously go as long as as we'd like in the after show. But the main show will be for the 2 hours, and then I also right now I have Livestream 2 running as well. So in case people, if they don't want to be involved in the show, the other live stream is available just as an, Livestream 2 is available as an open channel. And then, yeah, so just kind of to finish this kind of opening, for this show, there'll basically be 5 structures for it, 5 options. So the first one would be open topic, open discussion. So that would be, anyone can bring up a topic. And then, we'll focus on staying on that topic, but it'll be more of an open discussion with a, kind of like a changing, evolving topic. Like we could say set on one, but then also kind of just sort of like swimming downstream. We can just kind of drift in that way with the topic. So that's the first one. The second one is to have a set topic, but still an open discussion. So that one would be maybe for the whole show, whether it's either for the first hour or for the second hour or for both, a particular topic like you guys were just talking about Eratosthenes. So if we're going to do that one, boom, that would be the topic for that whole period. And then in that case, the hosts and the moderators will, do our best to keep it on topic so that, it doesn't go off that topic. And if someone else brings up a side topic, we'll probably kind of steer it back to keep it on that topic so that the whole show would be that. So yeah, that's the second one, the set topic. And then the third one is sort of like a short, somewhat impromptu, either 1v1 or 2v2 type discussions or debates. So in that style, let's say at the beginning of the show, let's say 2 people said, boom, these 2 people wanted to, have a specific debate or discussion on a topic. And these, like I said, they would not really be necessarily very scheduled or planned ahead of time. It would just be in the moment, as it were. Like if those two wanted to, let's say, or four people, if it was going to be two talking with the other two type of thing on a particular topic. Um, and in that case, everyone else would be muted in the room, other than like the hosts and the moderators. And then, those discussions could take place. And those could kind of change as well. Like maybe be, 30 minutes with two people or something. And then maybe another two want to do the next 30 minutes, something like that. So that one can kind of, shift as it goes, but it could be, yeah. So that's the third one, sort of the, shorter impromptu type discussions or debates. And then the fourth one is more of a structured debate. So that one would be when there's like, set participants and a set topic, and even a set structure, for that time. So that one would be set up beforehand, the people involved. And then in the show notes, on the events, part on Discord for the show notes, it would say, who's presenting and, or who's debating and who's, if there's a particular host for that debate, like whether I'm hosting or moderating it, or if someone else wants to kind of like, I can always kind of, be there, but then someone else can also, if they wanted to be kind of like the core moderator for that debate, then they could be the core moderator. And then, and then the rest of us could kind of support them. So yeah, so that's the fourth one, the structured debate. And then the fifth one would be presentations. And so in a presentation, somebody would be, either presenting, whether it's, data or video or audio, whatever it may be that they're presenting, they can share their screen, which I can share on the YouTube stream as well. And so yeah, so those would be the presentations. And in that case, everyone else would be muted while the person's presenting. And then, we can have, like question and answer or feedback afterwards. So like, if somebody wanted to do, let's say even like a short presentation, like 20 minutes, and they, offer a particular idea or a particular, experiment or test or whatever it may be. And then maybe it's only 20 or 30 minutes long. And then there's, we open it up to everybody else to either give feedback or ask questions or, continue the discussion. So yeah, so that's the fifth one. For any of these, like in terms of like, if anyone wants to, be involved in any of these as well, you can submit a ticket, down, like I said, below the voice channels, there's a place to, submit a ticket. So if you, want to do a particular structured debate or moderate one or had any ideas for those, yeah, you can submit them there to let me know. And then,
hey, sorry to interrupt. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt. I didn't know if you knew. I don't think YouTube is. I don't think you're live on YouTube. If you wanted to fix that in case somebody wanted to present something.
Yeah, it looks like it's live. There's actually 3 things live on the channel right now. There's the Earth Awakenings live stream replays. So those are previous replays. I have the live stream 2 room running, in case like if people don't want to be in the show, or if it's like if people are being muted because there's like a 1v1 or something like that, then so I have that one just running. I started that one up. And then the Earth Awakenings live show number 1 is the one that we're live on right now.
Okay, I'm just saying because I didn't get a notification. The only notification I got was for live stream 2. But glad to be here.
Oh, okay. It looks like it is live from what I can see.
It is.
Yeah, and it looks like the audio is live. So yeah, so just the last part is just I was just going to mention about muting. There may be somewhat more like temporary mutes or mutes that may happen in this particular show, just because like in terms of sort of the particular keeping on topic or whether there's a debate going on. If someone's doing like a presentation or something like that, then yeah, like everyone in the room may be muted other than the person presenting until we open it up to questions or feedback. Response in that sense. But otherwise, even if it's more open discussion style, there can be some temporary muting. We'll try to keep the mutes as temporary as possible. But I think, just in terms of like, the content and kind of keeping everything on track in that sense, there may need to be some temporary mutes. So, I would say as much as possible, if that, not to see the temporary mutes as anything personal or anything like that, but just if they have to happen, just so that maybe someone can finish what they were saying, complete their thought, and things like that. And so sometimes just quickly muting, letting the person finish, and then unmuting that person sometimes is easier than, if the person interrupted, to then have to interrupt both of them and then say, okay, that person, interrupted. Sometimes just quickly being able to mute and then, of course, unmute that person so they can respond, little things like that. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that as well. And so this is the launch show, and coming at an interesting time. It sort of feels like it's like phase 2 of the launch of everything. It's like the first phase was, the initial launch, and then I had talked a bit about the live stream hosting and some of that, but wasn't really time to fully implement that. And then actually this new events feature was just added to this server only like I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. So they've been rolling it out slowly on servers, and so now that it's the events feature, it makes it a lot easier to schedule these and then to notify people when the show is live. So yeah, it's another kind of nice timing. So yeah, I think that's kind of the end of the opening, and welcome everybody, and I'll kind of open the floor.
So what is this ticket thing then? Is it something you're allowed to do, or you've got to be accepted into?
So I just put in the live stream one text. There's a command on the server called it's just !support. So I just did it. So anyone can type it, !support. And it basically just, it says the Earth Awakening Support Center. And then it says, and it gives a link to a clickable little link to the Create a New Ticket channel. So the Create a New Ticket channel, it's down below. It's just kind of far down. So if you scroll down, it might take you a little while to get below the voice channels, but it's below the, it's called the EA Support Center is the title of it. And then, that's the category name, as they call it. And then the Create a New Ticket. But that little command I did, anyone can type that, and it's just a way to kind of shortcut to it. So yeah, no, anyone can create one. You basically just go to that channel. You'll see, what it says there, and then you can just click the button that says Create New Ticket. You click it, and then what it does is it actually opens a private text channel for you, and then all of the moderator staff who can view those and respond to them. So once you create it, it creates your own private channel. It also sends you a direct message that informs you, like, you created a ticket, and it says here's the the link to your channel as well. But you'll see your channel will pop up under the new open tickets category, which is right below that one. You'll see that pop up, and that channel will be private only to you and the moderator staff. So no one else on the server will be able to see it other than you and the moderator staff. And then, you can basically talk in there, and that's where you would request, like if you wanted to, host a debate, or if you wanted to offer a presentation or anything like that, you can just submit a ticket there. And then, I'll be able to respond, and then we can schedule it, get it on the calendar and all of that. And then once the ticket's completed, there's a close ticket button. So you can just click on the close ticket button, or the moderator can, and it basically closes it out. And then it DMs you, and it actually gives you a downloadable link and a transcript. There's actually 2 links. One of them you can download, one of them you can just view on a website, so you don't have to download it. But it basically will give you a transcript of the, like, screenshots essentially of the whole ticket.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah, I mean, it's designed, for anything that's needed. But in terms of this, like for scheduling shows, and then also for this live show, that's just a great way to be able to submit, or offer any ideas or feedback or anything like that. So I think I've kind of gone through everything. I'm glad you brought that up, Warrenclyffe, because the ticket system, which is kind of integrated into this show in a sense, because so people can be able to to interact in that way. And so I think that's pretty much the completion of all the kind of introductory stuff. Like I said, there'll be shows pretty much every day, but there'll probably be some days off, and then they'll be listed up in the events tab up at the top. And I think for this one, just since it's sort of the initial launch show, I'll kind of probably just sit back for a little bit, and we can, if anyone has any, I think we'll just do open topic, open discussion for right now. So we can just kind of flow with it. So go ahead, Brian.
Have you heard the little story about the 3 guys with the in the hotel, like the little story pointing out the flaw and showing how there's flaws in math. Has everybody heard that? Y'all want to hear that?
That one is interesting. Yeah, if you want to bring that one up, you mean the one where they all pay $10 and then they get a refund? Yeah, it is interesting. I would like to fully, like, I do understand it, but I still feel like I don't fully understand it. So yeah, if you wanted to bring it up,
I'll give my read on it. So basically, you got 3 guys, and it's during the Christmas holidays, and they are on a trip, and their car breaks down, and so they walk to they find a hotel, and that says the rooms are $30. So they're like, okay, we'll do that. So they each pull out $10, and they get the room, right? Now, later on, the manager remembered there was a holiday special. He didn't give them the special, so he gives the bellhop $5 to bring up to the guys. And so the bellhop gets up there, and there's he didn't know how to really give them $5, so he's like, screw it. He gives them all $1 each, and then he keeps $2. And so each one of them. So then you ask how much did each one of them then spend? Each one of them spent $9, and the bellhop kept $2. So my take on that, that's there's a missing dollar. So my take on that is that the conversions are not perfect. When you try to convert from just even simple addition and multiplication, you get problems that are, you could point out with examples like this. But so if each one of them spent $9, the bellhop was given the $5 to bring up there. When he gave them each $1 back, that means they all spent $9.
That's how you lie.
27
That's
plus
how.
2.
That's how you.
29. Good.
That's how you lie with math, right there. You can tell it any which way you want and make it seem like there's some fucking mystery magical thing happening, or you could say it the other way and it looks like it all works out.
But it does work out. If you do math wrong, you'll come up with an answer that's wrong. But if you
there's other types of math that goes. It just shows you
$2 that the guy kept, then you end up with what, $25, which is what.
What it is when you mix variables. When you mix variables, then you're gonna have problems. It's not perfect. Math is not perfect. It's like addition. It's perfect. It's if you have 2 of something and you add 2 more, or subtraction. But when you start mixing variables, and then it's never exact. It's never exact in science or mathematics.
All right. Well, ask you a question. Why would you be adding the $2 that the guy kept from them?
See, that some people try and drive themselves crazy thinking they have a solution to it. The whole point of the problem is to show that when you mix when you're converting, try to convert addition to multiplication and like subtraction with division and all that you're going to have flaws. It's just a simple little story to point that out. Some people will kill themselves and think on it. There's nothing to really think on. It's just an example of flaws.
Math language. You can lie with it, or you can lie with math, or you can tell the truth with math.
But the only lie is in the way the story is told. There's no flaw in mathematics.
Well, Coach,
the part that he didn't say at the end of the riddle was there's 3 guys that then they each paid $9. It's $27. If you add the $2, that's $29. If you add the $2, then you have to ask yourself, why am I adding the $2? Because that's not.
Well, why wouldn't you add the $2?
That's not what you're meant to do. You're not supposed to add the $2 he kept.
You subtract the $2, leaving you at 25. The bellhop took 5 from the beginning, giving you 30. Your inability to do the math correctly isn't proof that math is wrong.
The whole point, once again, is converting. It's converting the variable. It's mixing the variables. Okay.
You have to use them correctly. Yes, you're right.
Okay. Well, guess what, dude? It should convert. Okay. There's no reason why it shouldn't convert where each guy spent $9 and the bellhop kept 2. It should be able to convert.
Because if you're each person,
usually it does convert. Usually, when you give examples like that, it converts just fine. And
this one does too, man.
And there are others, it does not.
It does, because if you're the hotel, you receive that $30. The bellhop took 5. Now you only have $25. One goes to each of the 3 people, and the bellhop keeps 2. That's
You just
5 out
converted it back,
of
bro.
your pocket, 30 to
con-
25.
you just converted it back. It just pretty much.
You did it
slammed
because the
whole
bellhop
example.
isn't the hotel.
Yeah, the way you said it, Bio, was converting it back. However, that is correct. But what's wild about it is that when you just look at it from the one perspective, if the 3 guys only paid $9, that's what came out of their pocket. So that's what they gave to the other party, but there's this missing dollar. And you're right, like the way you said it was the reverse way, which does actually show. So it does kind of show how it almost reminds me of like polarized light, where just the way you change it, it's either dark or light just from that polarization. For some reason that just popped in my mind, but yeah, go ahead.
If you do math incorrectly, you're gonna get a wrong conclusion. That's all the story shows. If the process you do is wrong, you're gonna have a wrong answer.
Yeah,
That's
so
all
if you've only mapped part of it. See, this is what I think a lot of the heliocentric model is where they're applying certain mathematics to part of reality that we do observe, and then ad hocing that and linking it into that the Earth is actually a globe or whatever, some of those claims. Like, it reminds me of that, the way that from one angle it looks like, oh yeah, the guys just gave $9, it's 27. Where the guy kept 2. Where's the extra dollar? Meaning that some of these heliocentric things just kind of links in my mind to where, well, yeah, it looks like this links and that links and the mathematics links, but is it actually an actual proof or definitive validation of the original claim or position?
You want to see something cool, man? Let's change the story up slightly and say that it was $22 that night. It wasn't 25, and the manager gave the bellhop $8 to bring back to the dudes, and the bellhop couldn't do the math again, so he said, "Okay, I'll just make it easy. I'll give each of those guys $1, and I'll keep 5." So each guy pays $9, 27 plus the 5 the bellhop kept 32. So now there's more money.
Hey,
See,
start from
no
the
matter
top.
no matter how
Hey,
you
hey,
no matter how
start from the top
you
of that.
frame it,
I want to hear it.
if you add that last part to the amount that the dudes paid, you're going to come up with the wrong answer.
Yeah, but he kept $5, and then he kept $5, and the remainder was 22 divided by 3.
Yeah, but they paid $10 to begin with, and they only got $1 back, so they paid 27 total. And then for some reason, you're adding the $5 the bellhop kept and ending up with more money, $32.
They paid $10 each, and then the guy afterwards, he kept 5. He had 25 left, and you divide that by 3. And then if they got $1 back, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Sorry, mate. I want to stop.
Yeah,
Sorry.
when you add when you're supposed to subtract, you're gonna come out with a weird answer. You're right.
Yeah, I
If you
agree
do
with
it
that.
wrong, you're gonna get the wrong answer. Yeah.
I think also the decimal points and numbers over 999, possibly why gold and silver only went as high as 999 in the value of something. As soon as you get past 999, past 1,000, the multiplication and division comes out with different sort of outcomes and stuff that is different than when you were using numbers under 1,000.
It's
thing is,
nothing
the
to
way
do with
leaky.
that. It doesn't require funny things. It's just it's been described in the wrong way. Add the amounts together. $9 from guest 1, $9 from guest 2, $9 from guest 3 is 28, right?
27.
27.
Sorry,
27.
27, and that adds up to
Jesus.
29.
So whether you
3
add
times
$2
9
or
is how much?
subtract $2, so whether you add $2 here or subtract $2, no matter what, you're not coming up with $30, which is what we initially started with, right?
No, you
How
are.
much
If you
3 times
subtract
9?
it, if you subtract it, you do come up with the right answer.
How much is 3 times 9?
You subtract the $2, which is the 5 that was withheld from the dudes to begin with. You add that 5 to the 5, and you end up with 30.
It's just in the way that the thing's worded.
Yeah.
It's in the. There's something about the structure of the logic that allows that to, at first, for me in my mind, like at first gander, it seems like it doesn't. It's almost like 2 + 2 is 5. Like at first gander, it almost seems like it doesn't actually add up logically. But like we're saying, if you actually complete it and see, sort of reminds me of like a bubble graph or something where you have all these different interrelated components, and the ones on the one side are required to connect the ones on the other, but it can look one way. That's why I was saying it reminds me of polarized light. It can look one way from one kind of angle, but it needs to be completed like kind of like I think what Brian was saying, like the kind of reversal completion of the logic, and then it does all line up. That's how it works, and that's how I see it in my mind.
Yeah, but earlier somebody said 3 times 9. So what is 3 times 9?
The owner,
27.
the owner never took $5 in the first place. Is that physically it existed? So it's something fine.
He took 30. He took 30. He gave 5 back.
Yeah, it's so much simpler than that. Each person didn't pay $9 to the hotel. Each person together paid 25. What happens is that they each receive $1 back, totaling to 28. The bellhop kept 2. That's 30.
If 3
That's
people
what happened
pay
in
25,
actuality
that's
from-
$75.
Oh man, it's so much simpler than what's being interpreted. If you're the perspective of the hotel, just the hotel, you've received $30. You've given the bellhop 5. Now you're at $25 for the admission of those 3 guests. Now that bellhop gives each of them $1. That's 3. He keeps 2. That's 5. You were paid $25 by the 3 people. The bellhop distributed 5 from you.
Yeah.
25 and 5. It's that simple. You can change your perspectives and do math wrong, and it comes out to 29. But that's just doing math wrong.
Dude, you're saying doing math wrong. Dude, you didn't invent this. The whole point is to show the non-perfection of the math when converting. Okay, there's other examples. Listen, there's other examples. The point is they all spent $9. There's no getting around it, bro. You convert it back. All you're doing is converting it back, bro, and saying that there's an error. Bro, they each spent $9, and the bellhop kept 2.
Never mind.
Period.
Well,
That's
so simple.
Well, ultimately, the way I see it is that, okay, if the 3 guys each paid 9 in the end, that's true. That's only 27. But essentially, the owner of the hotel, he actually paid the bellhop out of his lot.
Yes. He lost
Exactly.
He paid out of the money they paid.
Right.
No, he paid out of the guest money.
The owner didn't have any money at all.
Stole some of the guests' money.
Yeah, what do they say? Borrow from Peter to pay Paul?
Yeah. He's out of pocket by 2. That's a simple thing.
He had $0 to begin with. He got paid $30 and gave them a discount.
Fucking out, man. We should move on, man.
If you think about this in the most extreme way, that the discount was actually $2 that night and not $30, and the bellhop was meant to give them $28 and only gave them 3 again, so they each paid $9 and $27, while the bellhop kept 25. You add those together and end up with 52, and you see it's just the wrong way of doing it.
Listen, if you use odd numbers, if you use odd numbers, you'll get a flaw every time with that type of conversion. If you use even numbers, look,
Really?
if the room was 60, listen, if the room was $60 and they all pitched in 20, okay, and then the manager remembered there was a $10 Christmas break, so he gives the bellhop $10 to give them. The bellhop just gives them each $2, and he keeps 4. So 18 times wait a second, 18 times 3 is what? What's that? 54. So yeah, it's just the type of conversion, man. Is what it is. I don't think it has nothing to do with odd or even, actually, man.
No. Hold on. You're almost there. You said that the bellhop was given 10, right? And then he gave $2 to each person, 6. He has 4 left over. But if you do that 3 times 18 is 54.
Now I just doubled the error.
Hold on.
Now there's $2 missing.
Hold on, man. You said it was 18 each to each one, making it 54. The bellhop kept 4. That's 58, not 60. It works no matter what type of number you use, because you're presenting it wrong when you're adding. We doubled it.
Hey, wait.
Hold on, Brian. Let's try to be really fair. Let's try to let Bio go ahead, man. Completely finish. I had to mute him just for a temporary mute. It's not that he interrupted, but I just want to make sure you can finish.
It's if he's saying that it's happening with odd but not even, in that example, he gave a perfect example of it happening with even, where each one paid 20, the bellhop gets 10, gives each 2. So to each person, they think, oh, we only paid $18, and then that's 54. But the bellhop, because he gave out 6 out of 10, he has 4 left over. So 54 plus 4 is now 58. So now there's 2 missing dollars. It works no matter what because you're adding when you're supposed to subtract. You're gonna get the wrong answer.
No, because the
Okay, well, hold on. Okay, if you're totally completed, go ahead, Brian.
Okay, that all I did there was double it. That wasn't my example. All I did is double it. So basically now there's $2 missing. You see how that works out? That's the way math is.
Hi.
Yeah, and then go ahead. Yeah, the realm. Go ahead. Yeah, you wanted to go next. Yeah.
The instructions in the word says that the bellhop gave money. You received 5, and he gave them 1 each. So the instruction was that the bellhop had to give 3 out. As simple as that. And then in the doubling, he just gave out his share and he kept the rest. So there was no money missing. The instruction was that he received the money, and with that money, he has to pay the people out of his own money. There's nothing saying anything different to that, but by saying that he received the money, and from that money, he then paid the other people from that 5.
It's their money that you're talking about. It was was always those people's money.
I agree. I agree with how that. Yeah, I agree with that. That it. However, like one thing I was gonna say. I mean, we could continue on this, but kind of to shift it a little
let me
bit.
give my example before we change subject. Let me give my example.
It's not going to be a full change, but a little bit of a transition because I want to talk about like basically the concept. You can say something, Brian, but let me just finish this to say that essentially how mathematics indicates or how mathematics is claimed to indicate a particular cosmology, a particular Earth, how mathematics and what are those claims really? Because in terms of like you bringing this up, Brian, it does make me think about how just logic and mathematics can be used. And I think part of what we're discussing here is how it can be used to deceive people. There's something in this unfolding like that. You bringing that up, and that's my thought on that. But yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, let me give my example real quick, Gio. So if the room wound up being $24. And he gives the bellhop $6 to bring everybody, and the bellhop gives everybody $1 and keeps 3, then everybody spent $9. He kept 3. That's 30. Okay, that's my example of the odd and even. Okay, I was just showing earlier about like doubling it. You double it, then you got $2 missing. Okay, the math is consistent. It just shows once again, you got people who refuse to accept that they don't know everything. Like Biodual and shit, no offense, but to always try to rationalize every single thing when something,
the money's not missing though, is it?
Making is not that he knows everything; it's that if you do the maths correctly, it isn't a problem.
Yeah, the money's not missing. I agree, but in my mind, the logic of it when I first heard it is that it seems like there's $1 missing. So it seems that's the thing. At first glance, it seems at first glance, it seems like
if the room was $24, the math works out perfect. Everybody spent $9. The bellhop kept 3. That's $30. Okay, but if the room was $25, it doesn't work out. If the room was $26,
that's a coincidence though, because the money that's a coincidence though, because the money that he keeps is the same amount of money that he also gave back. So it's a coincidence.
There was no money to begin with because they only paid 27. So if they got 3 back, they only got their 3 back changed for 27. The bellkeeper never got any money out of it.
What? I feel like that you might not be aware of the contents of this riddle.
Yeah.
The bellhop definitely kept $2.
You're adding where you're subtracting. Count the money where it ends up. $1 in customer 1's pocket, $1 in customer 2's pocket, $1 in customer 3's pocket, $2 in the bellhop's pocket, and $25 in the cash register.
Bingo.
$30.
Yep, exactly. But when you just think about the guys at the hotel, they all walked away only paying 27. So that's.
Or you can say it like Leaky proposed it at first, and make it seem like the math couldn't work or something. It's all about how you say it.
Exactly. Yes. It's purpose. The riddle's purposely is meant to trick you, just like
And that's what we've been doing with the globe. That's what we've been doing with the globe riddle. Meant to trick us. We're unraveling it day by day.
I don't know about that.
I've got a quick
misrepresenting it.
I don't really think of the globe as a riddle, but whatever.
I think I do. I think cosmology can be seen as a riddle for sure, especially in today's world. I mean, it's a lot of things, but I do think that it is ultimately it's a riddle of deception, ultimately, in my viewpoint, in terms of the globe.
I've got a quick
I mean,
one.
I think there is a similarity to it, which is that if you present something in a way that doesn't add up, that it isn't comprehensible, then it will be easy for somebody to say something as absurd as math doesn't work, because it's been presented to them in a way that doesn't make sense to them, but it doesn't have any bearing on whether math works.
In the formal languages, something can calculate and work out mathematically, but it doesn't match reality. That's why the practicality and the actual physical world is so important.
I've got a quick one.
Yeah, that reminds me. Oh, yeah, go ahead. But it just reminds me of like we see too far. One of them is just we see too far. That's the actual reality. The other one is no, but all these explanations and all these other things that are based on theoretical concepts to then account for.
Yo, real quick, I just want to point out, everyone be aware, some of the Glovers' new arguments are, in certain situations, we see too far for a flat Earth. So I just want us to be aware of this. That is their new argument.
For a flat Earth,
I agree.
I would say we
I
don't see
agree.
something for a flat Earth.
I think somebody misspoke.
Yeah, you got it backwards.
No, nobody
we could say
misspoke.
forever.
Nobody misspoke. I was arguing this for a long time with him at Gems. Bio, you wanna pipe up?
I've got a quick one.
To that last discussion, really.
You're roboting.
You are roboting by well, Jeremy, they've been saying that we don't see far enough on a flat Earth. That's one that they'll say.
No, they're saying we see too far from this certain position in a plane, 30,000 feet in the air. We see too far for the Earth to be flat. Apparently.
How does that work? What is that argument?
We're only supposed to see 100 and what bio? You have the numbers?
But I'm saying, what is it based on?
Am I
Like,
clear?
an extended plane would extend indefinitely. The geometric components of it would just extend indefinitely.
Hi, can I just say something before I go? Because I need to go for a piss and I need to, I'm going to be leaving now. I've just got one thing to say, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fibonacci sequence, there's a guy called Jane 108 Academy. He's got a channel, fucking amazing stuff, right? And really fucking simple to understand. And the Fibonacci version of pi, that's pi, the Fibonacci pi is different to the pi that we have calculated. It's really interesting that there are two versions of pi. One is our version, and the other one is the natural version that uses the Fibonacci sequence. And Jane 108 Academy.
Wow, that is fascinating. You might have cut out at the end there, but dude, that is mind blowing. I would love to hear more about that. I don't know if you're going to come back in this show. If you said you were going to head out for a bit, or if you want to do like something on that in the future, because that sounds really fascinating. I think I just found that guy's channel. I'll post it. Is it Jane 108 Academy?
Yes, I will stay with you guys because you guys aren't fucking them. You're not deniers, so fucking brilliant, man. You guys are awesome, and one of your deniers. But what I'm saying is that you have welcomed me and not given me any shit, and never fucking said to me, "Oh, you're not fucking qualified." You know, I got the other room. They're telling me, "Oh, I got fucking PhDs." Yeah, but it wasn't in your own independent fucking methods and thinking, mate. You just fucking took someone else's and repeated that to the next person, and that's how we got into shit in the first place.
Did you say a new version of time?
No, pi, P-I, pi.
P-I-E. Oh, P-I, my bad.
Yeah. So you got the pi that we use, which is 3.14, to whatever it is. We use the 22. And yeah, he converts the circle to the square. He does every single thing that he'll show you what the Kepler's triangle is. You'll start to understand. There's another guy called Harry Lear, L-E-A-R. He done some great things, and you can kind of see a very geological thing to what he's doing. But yeah, man, it's fucking, when you realize that pi is not correct, then the dimensions are anything of a difference of 3.144 to 3.1. What's the normal fucking thing? I've forgotten now. 3.14.
159.
But anyway, there's a difference of it. Yeah. So and the other one, there's a fucking sequence to it. I can't remember. It's like the square root of fucking...
318.
Huh?
You talking about 0.318?
This reminds me of how like the 432 hertz versus 440 hertz in audio.
Yeah. The conversion,
Wow.
of anything.
I tried to change pi myself, man. I tried to using a calculator, the 364-day year with the 13 months, the 28-day months. It works out. So I tried doing that with a circle and making there be 364 degrees, so there wasn't an infinite. But I gave up, on it. But there's brighter minds who could. There's different types of math too, man. And there's little things like that story I just told. Like Bodul, he's probably breaking up because he's probably got his abacus out, dude. He'll be working on that shit all night. He wants to know, and nothing wrong with that, man. But like I say, to me, it's a simple explanation of an error and conversion when you convert the math.
Can we stick to the topic?
addition to the
I kind of want to
multiplication.
respond to Jeremy.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
I'm just joking with you, Bodul.
There is a specific scenario in which we see too far, but that's given parameters. The way that Jeremy said it of we see too far on a flat Earth, that's not in all scenarios. That what was presented was
I said
being
a
able to see
specific
something.
scenario.
I know, Jeremy.
Well, let's let
I
him
know,
finish.
Jeremy,
Let him
and I'm
finish.
going to explain the specific scenario. When what was presented with Zanuck is a HUD display showing the 3 degrees to the horizon and it being claimed about 200 miles because I guess there's a landmark or some shit. But if we do the math for that altitude, for a 3 degree, you're looking down 3 degrees from eye level on a flat Earth using trigonometry, it's only about 124 miles. And that's we see not far enough argument. Or we see too far for a flat Earth because that 3 degree measurement at that altitude would give you only 124 miles. If we see 200, yeah, we're seeing too far in that specific scenario.
I get it.
It
And
sounds
then
like what you're
that-
saying is not we see too far, but we see too low.
Like I said, there's a specific scenario in which the Globers are now saying we see too far.
Well, yeah, that would be the specific scenario. If you have the
I'd agree with that,
HUD
man.
data of an altitude and then the degree to the horizon, if you know that distance to the horizon and you do the trigonometry for a flat Earth, then yeah, we're seeing too far for that. So it's either the instrumentation's not giving good data.
The distance to the horizon.
The landmark is not accurate, or trigonometry it doesn't work, or you have the Earth shape wrong. It's one of those possibilities.
But what's the horizon?
It's a function of visibility. It's a function of distance. So however far we can see. But yeah, I would partially agree with the fact that we see too far some days in some circumstances on a flat Earth. If you're going to do the focal, the Rayleigh criterion of like where we can't distinguish one thing from another, the light in that example. But it works out with the other. It ain't just light. They like to apply it with just 2 lights joining into one, but it represents us being able to, how much can we squeeze into the field of view, basically, when it starts getting compressed. Shout out to Lemonberg. When it gets squished, it's,
well, I'm with what I thought Elbow was saying as well. Like he was saying, like the distance to the horizon. Yeah, Bio. I mean, that therein lies the flaw, is what I think, and I think that's what Elbow was saying. Like the distance to the horizon is where you're making an assumption, because the horizon on a planar stationary Earth wouldn't be a consistent physical location, but a constellated position due to the environment and how far you're able to see.
I tried pointing that out to them. They acted like they were seeing in a straight line to the horizon. I don't know why.
You are when you're at 40,000 feet in the air. You are.
So no refraction.
Negligible.
Negligible. Yeah, I know. How do you know it's negligible?
Because we understand refraction, man. And as you gain altitude, refraction diminishes. And then there's going to be a level in which it is negligible for making calculations. This is known.
What's your understanding of refraction then?
Let's give Elbow the floor. He's been trying to get in. Go ahead, Elbow.
He said he had an understanding of refraction. So let's hear about his understanding of refraction. Please present it.
Oh, now we're presenting stuff. Okay.
No, you said you had a presentable understanding of refraction.
Give me a few minutes, and I'll present you information concerning refraction.
No. You
said
the way
we
understood it.
I do understand it.
So let's have your understanding of refraction.
Right. As you gain altitude, you're existing within a thinner medium, which means that refraction is going to be less affecting your observation. This is known. If you're
Who
at
knows
sea
it?
level,
Who knows it then? Who
there you
knows
go,
it?
never mind.
I'm sorry,
It's
but when you're
Come on,
looking
Bio.
down, you're looking to a thicker medium.
Exactly. Bio, you know it
Exactly.
depends on the angles of attack and incidence and all that. It's not just if you're in the thinner medium. That's if you're looking straight through the thinner medium.
If
Who
only
is
I
this
could get to
exactly
the end.
then?
But that's fine. That's fine.
Who
Yeah,
who
can you
is
please
this
let him finish?
exactly
Can you
then?
please let him finish? Let him finish.
No. It's obvious not going to happen. It's fine. I'll just
Go
present
ahead,
the
Bio.
data.
Go ahead, Bio.
I'll just present the data at some point here in the next few minutes. It's fine.
Let's all work on trying to let each other finish. Like, let's make sure people are done, please. I know it's tough. I do it.
And for those that are contradicting what Bio is saying, once he presents his evidence, y'all need to get your evidence out too.
So he's presenting data, not evidence, then. Because
Well,
data
I would like to see what what he has, then we can go through it. I mean, that's how. Yeah, go ahead.
Is data evidence or not?
Well, we'll see. I mean, essentially, the initial claim.
We won't see. Is data evidence?
Well, he's
yes
going
or
to
no?
present it in the form of evidence. I mean, we know.
No, he's going to present it in data. That's not evidence.
Yeah, it is evidence.
No, it's not.
Evidence.
It is.
I don't know why you picking on the words right here, but
My thought
is
is that
not
he's going to.
evidence.
My thought is that he's going to present papers and content that explains a particular model of refraction and then applies that to reality.
A model of refraction.
Yeah,
Is that what you said? A model of refraction.
Yep, that's what they do with it. It's
Right.
a model.
Okay. So therefore, it's not evidence. Then it is a model of refraction.
I'm also guessing this. I'm also guessing this.
So we can
Hold on,
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you
I'm
need to put.
I'm almost certain.
So you're either going
That
to
this
present
math-
data or a model of refraction. Which one
Can
is
it be both? Can it
Hold
be
on.
both though?
Jeremy, I think
Is
Jeremy.
it evidence?
Warren Cliff, just 1 second. I don't know if you could hear Jeremy, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost certain if they come up with any kind of formula, it's going to have the presupposed Earth curve in it, because you can't. It doesn't make sense if you try to use Snell's law or something. You can't do it unless you have the Earth curve formula in it. So
Oh,
like
now
whatever
we've
he
got a
presents is going to
formula.
be circular.
Oh,
Whatever
now we've
whatever
got a
formula he
formula.
brings forth
So
is either
we've got-
not going to work or it's going to be circular reasoning.
So now we've got a formula.
oh yeah, they have a bunch of them. Yeah, like the Haversine formula. Are you aware of that one? That one's for sextants. It's called the Haversine formula, and that's one. They have others. Of course, 7/6R. Of course, the R is the radius. That's one of their standard refractions.
How did they get the R?
Exactly. There it is. I know. That's a good point.
You can pretend there's no R, but I got one in my pocket.
A sextant does an angle, correct?
Before we get into that, before we get into a section,
No, before we get into
also,
what?
I just want to point before we get into a section. I just want to point out about the refraction thing. He'll never have an optical corridor measured with the temperature, pressure, and humidity, the things you would need all through, up and above and below the optical corridor.
How do you need this then?
To show that light.
How do you need this?
Show
If you
that the
haven't
light.
Please let the whoever's speaking
No,
finish.
he's presuming something.
Your Warden, if you're getting a bit
I'm
of a
on your
connection
side, bro.
Yeah, you're being too hot, Warren. Chill out.
I'm on your side. I'm telling you.
And I was going to ask. I was going to actually say this. So, my general understanding of the term flat is that it means like two general things. I mean, it can mean multiple things, but let's say two general ones. One of them is that a surface has very little deviation and it's flat in that way, meaning like a glass table that is just has very little change within the planar surface, to where undulations, yeah, to where it's considered flat in that way. But then there's another definition of flat, which is it's actually a position within the XYZ axis, meaning if you lie down flat on your bed, you're not literally a flat board, but you're lying down flat, you're lying horizontal. And that's why the definition of flat being horizontally level. So when people say flat earth, they're not saying that it's flat like a glass tabletop. They're saying that it's horizontally positioned it's horizontally level, essentially. I mean, that's one of the main, like the definition of flat is horizontally level. It's the first definition of it. So in that sense, it's more of a positional. It's actually positional within the XYZ axis system, horizontal. The other one is an actual flat thing that has very little deviation. And you could have, a flat painting on the wall or a flat painting on the floor. It's still flat. But then if you're going to put it on the floor horizontally level, that's the other definition, that you're putting it in that position. And if the Earth is an XYZ axis, a planar surface, the sky above, horizontally level, then that's where, when people are saying flat Earth, that's my understanding of that, more what it's referring to is that position rather than, because we know there's topographical undulations all over it.
Yeah, I'm on third position because you've got the XY axis, but also you've got the Z axis because you've got changes in elevation. So it's a flat plane,
right,
but with changes in elevation.
At ground level.
I'm not a flat earther.
I.e. flat earther.
XY has to do with
XY.
XY is the one with the elevation. Z is just a depth perception. By the way,
a Z is to what?
Well, it depends. It depends on how you define the what do you call it, the dimensions. But I mean, you can have Y and Z. It can even be X. Why are we even arguing this? It doesn't matter. Whatever.
I'm not a flat earther.
You're just afraid of the word.
Flat.
Yeah, he's in denial.
Okay, universal down Earth. There we go. Anyway,
all right, let's agree he's not a flat earther, so we can stop talking about it. He's not a flat earther.
Okay, I'll say this. I mean, for myself, I don't call myself a flat earther. I actually never have. My whole life, I've never, called myself that or identified with it. However, I've used the term, a lot, of course, and obviously been involved for so many years to where it's such like a common. I don't personally.
Hold on, he ain't the first guy who's claimed.
Hold on, let me just finish what I was saying. So I just I don't refer to myself as a flat earther, but I've part of the reason I don't is because I think flat is not descriptive enough to even start to describe what the Earth is or cosmology. Like it's just such a simplistic, like a horizontally level. Okay, but that's like it just isn't for me like detailed enough to actually describe what the Earth is. And in general, I don't really have any reason to identify with the term as a thing for myself. So I'm just saying that not everybody prefers to use that term. And I think there's a whole bunch of other questions around that word. I mean, it's actually part of, sorry, I know I've said a lot here, but I'll pass the mic. But I was just going to finish by saying it's kind of part of the whole system, because when we're told the Earth is a globe, we're also told that the ancient stupid people, like these desert wandering ancient people, that they thought it was flat. So in all of our minds, flat Earth, so that's why like when people hear it. So anyways, there's a lot with that term, but I mean, I think if Wardenclyffe doesn't want to call himself a flat earther, I mean, I respect it and honor that.
He doesn't have to, but I mean, I think there's a difference between that and stopping the conversation because somebody said the word flat.
But yeah. I also don't think it's fair for other people to call him that.
But have I stopped the conversation?
It didn't come up because somebody called Wardenclyffe a flat earther. It's because they said if it was flat.
Yeah, there's two things. Yeah, there's those two things that were going on.
Well, that's the intention of you saying the word flat.
Yeah, it feels like the PC crowd, man.
Now. So if my intention wasn't that, it would be okay to say it?
What was your
as opposed to curve, champ? Come on.
Yeah, it feels like the PC crowd, that politically correct crowd. I'm not a flat earther just because I know it isn't flat, and I mean there's typographic. Dude, we know that it's just the term is there just because it just strikes a nerve.
Why don't you say realist then instead of flat?
I mean, I actually.
Because that's
part of me actually likes. I mean, there's a part of me that actually likes the term flat earth. It's just in a way it is just like simple and like even though I don't call myself a flat earther, I have identified with that term, or just saying to someone like, "Oh, the Earth is flat." Like I can see the positive components of it too.
But, it's like getting offended for someone calling you white or something like that. It's like, "Oh, I'm not white. I got from pink and little fucking. I'm brown."
Yeah, I felt the same thing.
I'm red.
Yeah, I'm human.
Well, we all know what it means.
Some people avoid it
what it means
because it's been weaponized in some way, like the term conspiracy or hippie, or truth denier, these sorts of things. The word has been weaponized to some extent.
Yeah, it can become
Exactly. I think
pejorative.
it's part of the psyop. That's why I was saying it's linked to when we're children, we're told the Earth is a globe. Right in the same paragraph in those books that are all like government education, controlled content, where it said, right after that.
But
So
real
we're-
Earther, that's not accurate either because we actually don't know, do we?
Sorry,
I mean,
I might have cut off for a second. What I was trying to say is that the when we were told the Earth is a globe, right in that same paragraph, we were told that ancient, uneducated, unknowing people thought it was a quote unquote flat Earth, and then all the jokes about, oh, you might fall off the edge, like that's programmed into the actual psyop of the globe, in my opinion.
But is that real though?
Yeah, as
Or
soon
is
as
that
you
something
hear
we've
the
just
words
been
flat
told?
Earth, Wardenclyffe was right. That term has been weaponized. As soon as you hear it, you've been indoctrinated to make fun of it and laugh at it.
That was White's. White
Yeah, but
said that. And yeah, I think that's correct. But you still need, like, to say on a real Earth is not going to split the difference, right? You need to have a word if you're going to describe two different groups of people that describes the difference between them. Whereas if they all go, we all think we have a real model of reality, then going, well, the real Earthers, which ones are they? So it's obviously you're going to need to pick the difference and find the simplest, shortest way to say which one are they.
By the way, I already did label real Earther. So if you guys take it, I will start a holy war against you.
I have the one true
Nice
cosmology.
one, real Earther. There's another one that Jaron had talked about, Jaronism, which was true Earth. I think true Earth. And I think at one point he was talking about that, or like kind of trying to get that to stick as an idea, but like either TRU or like true Earth. But yeah, you were saying real Earth, a real Earther.
It doesn't make more sense to use terms that are stark distinction between. Because I mean,
we're talking about shape.
By both of our descriptions, we both say true Earthers or real Earthers. You know what I mean? So
yeah, doesn't split the difference.
Well, I would say ultimately, if I had to put a geometric structure to the entire system, I would say like a planisphere cosmology is what I most deeply resonate with. The concept of a plane of existence, a stationary planar Earth, which is at some level surrounded by a celestial sphere, perhaps of plasma, electricity, electric energy, and various materials, so that we're actually on a stationary plane surrounded by that field. And then that is actually what's spinning and moving, the sun, moon, and stars, which are above. So it's sort of like being in the womb of the mother, and just like a baby, there's plasma around them in the womb. We would, in this idea of like a planisphere cosmology, the Earth being the stationary plane, and then we're surrounded by this like womb of the entire cosmos. And that thing is spherical, that's surrounding. So there is like a spinning spherical quality to the entire universe, but it's just not that we're on the outside of one, it's that we're on a stationary plane within one. So I resonate with that.
Yeah. Or could you say a real Earther looking for the truth?
No, because that doesn't split the difference, as we've said about 4 times.
What about the globe
both
skeptic?
sides? Both
Sorry.
sides.
We're talking
globe skeptic works. Globe skeptic works. I'm skeptical of the globe versus myself, who's not skeptical of the globe. Sure.
Yeah, you need to be definitive of the shape, because that's the argument: is the shape of the
No,
Earth.
surface.
Shape.
Yeah. So Howard, you're talking more about the like when we say Earth, because the word Earth actually comes from soil. So yeah, when you're taking Earth in that way, because it's like there's the Earth we're on, but then there's also like the extended system beyond, which of course on the globe model would say vacuum and all of that type thing. Whereas what I described is a different conception of that. But when you're saying the Earth, you're talking about just the shape of the actual thing that we're standing on.
Yeah, I mean the shape overall. That's the discussion.
So you want to know more than just what the actual physical surface is, but what the extents are as well. You mean that shape?
Yes. I would like to know that. I would like to know, like, if I dug down, how far could I dig? Would it be the same in all places on Earth? Yeah, that to me is interesting. But I mean, if you get into the pedantics of it, you could say half of flat Earth is actually a hemispherical Earth. It's just that half of the sphere is made up of a dome.
Right.
It's still half spherical. So, getting into that kind of pedanticness is silly. Obviously, flat earthers are talking about the surface.
But back to quantifiable data. I did post 2 sources there, Warden. One was the basic effects of refraction at ground level, measuring the sun with predictive factors, knowing what we know. The second link is the altitude effects, and they worked with Naval Academy something, but they used planes and varied their altitudes. One of the graphs showing here, as you decrease in altitude, your refractive index increases. You want to carry on knowing that when you gain altitude, refraction decreases? Can we carry on now?
Yeah, but when you're
How did they
looking,
verify that?
my question is, when you're looking, are you looking at the same altitude, or you're looking down towards the decreasing altitude?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's a pretty long paper. It's got some pictures in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of info here. I just popped open the first one. Well, Bio, there's a lot of math in here. Do you have any? Do you have? Would you want to actually describe what this is? Yeah, or did you?
Okay, but if there's verification that's required, then there should be verification for that verification. What was asked was, how do we understand refraction, and how do we know that at altitude the refractive index lowers? I presented 2 papers.
Yeah, and then you said calculations based on what we know.
I know.
And I asked, what you know, is that verified?
Oh my god!
Right. So the first one shows the basic refraction and the predictive effects. Knowing what we know, using the values and the calculations that we have, we can make these predictions of, given these values, this is what we should expect. That's just the basic refraction knowledge. And then the second paper I've shown is just the effects at different altitudes and the refractive effect index at different altitudes.
Right, but
I'm just verifying my claim.
Yes, but the flaw,
what we predicted.
the flaw.
That's what you said. What we predicted.
Exactly. Am I not coming in?
You're a little bit quiet, but yeah, your mic's a little bit quiet, or it sounded like it was kind of coming in and out. So it almost sounded like you were stopping talking, but I don't think you were. So, yep.
Well, I think
so the flaw. My thing is that the flaw in your making the calculation is that you're thinking, okay, we're in a higher altitude, it's less medium, so it's less refraction. But you're looking from the less medium to a thicker medium. You're looking down, so the refraction increases.
Yeah, if you would look over what he presented as support of his information there, that might help you understand it. But the point was, present your evidence, which he's done. So now we should be able to progress the conversation.
Well, he has presented,
as far as
but I guess all he's done so far is linked them. To be fair, he hasn't actually presented it to us in terms of like his understanding of it, or even just getting into it. Which we could either do now, or we could do it, on another show in the future as well. Because it does look like those documents are. I just panned through. There's a ton of formulas and mathematics in the first one.
Yeah, go for it. Cool.
My understanding.
Hot mic.
Yeah. My understanding is it's fairly simple. If you're continually looking through this like dense and changing medium near the surface, if the whole beam of whatever you're looking at, the light that's entering your eye has traveled all along that, it's going to have been affected by more than if you are from high up looking down and only just catching a little bit of that at the end or at the start, right? If you're looking from down to up or up to down, which is why the observed inclination in degrees and minutes you can see there, it drops off pretty steeply, such that if you're looking up by 10 degrees, the refracted deviation is quite small.
I didn't think that it was in contention that when you raise altitude, refraction goes down. I honestly didn't think, whether it's flat or globe, that we disagreed on that.
Well, I thought the refraction doesn't go down. Refraction gets lower if you're looking at the same altitude, right? So the same height. But if you're looking downwards, you're looking through more thicker medium, right? Are you not looking through more thicker medium?
Yes, but you're coming up out like on the surface. You're within that dense layer at the bottom, the densest part of it, right? So correct. As you to me intuitively, if I raise an altitude as I go up into the less dense medium, I would expect the refractive effects to decrease.
So you're saying From us on the surface, let's use water because it's a thicker medium. Let's use water then. So you're saying at the surface of the water, looking in the surface of the water, right? Your head's above it, looking to a deeper, let's say 500 foot. So is the refraction is going to be less? You're looking through less. You see what I'm saying?
Looking straight down at it, yeah. It'll be negligible if you're looking straight down at it. Yes.
Yep.
That's why the example with a straw, you have to look to the side. If you look to the side in a glass of water with a straw in it, you're looking to the side, you're going to get that refractive effect.
Well,
if you're looking directly above it, you're going to have negligible refraction.
Well,
that's a great example.
No, because that's you're saying that's two different mediums, a non-medium and then the thicker. I'm saying inside the medium. Now, I'm not saying on the outside. That's
sure,
two
yeah,
different things.
it'd be none. If it's the same value, then yeah, there will be none. Yeah.
Well, Bio, let me ask you this. I pulled up the first one, and yes, there is a lot of mathematics, a lot of claims here. I mean, I'm just reading in the introduction. What they do is they separate what they are calling these effects, the refraction effects, to three categories. One of them, astronomical, which is what they're claiming is outside of the Earth's atmosphere and then inside of it. So that, of course, assumes a sphere. It assumes that you can go outside the atmosphere. So there's that one. There's terrestrial, and then there's geodesic. And the geodesic in particular brings in, the spherical components and these models. So and then as I was looking down at the mathematics, there is the radius of the Earth that needs to be put into these calculations. So there is a lot of fancy math on here, but I just wanted to address that because, yeah, good old R.
If the assumed radius.
Get it out. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying that all of that complex mathematics depends on it. So how does that work in your mind?
If refraction, as we explain it, if it depends on the radius, your problem isn't with refraction. You should from the beginning say, well, how did you come up with the radius? How do you know it's a sphere? Because your problem specifically isn't refraction. I think that you would agree, whether flat or globe, increase altitude, refraction goes down. Your specific problem is how those predictions are made and the variables that are used.
You started off with saying...
Hold on 1 second, guys. Please, give me 1 second. Wasn't this supposed to be the proof that Earth was a sphere? I thought that's what we were doing.
No,
what are we doing
there is part of that, because if we use particular variables and using those variables, we can make accurate predictions. That is a form of validation for the variables being true. It is factually.
So just saying that doesn't make it so. Hold on a second.
Was if.
All right, go ahead.
So the premisation was starting by saying, if we assume.
Yes.
Therefore.
Yes, that's called science. We assume a thing,
not
and
science.
then we
Science
yes, it
is
is.
not
We assume
ifs.
it. Yes, it is. What's a hypothesis?
No, it's not.
What is a hypothesis?
Science is cause and effect.
Plainly. Sure.
If it may
what
be,
is a hypothesis?
It's the alien.
Okay, what is your understanding as a hypothesis?
You just said it. You were halfway there. You said if a
What is your understanding of hypothesis?
Is hypothesis the full extent of science? Or it's just part of it? Or it's just part of it?
That is
all right. So when you're doing just a hypothesis, you don't have science, right?
Hold on.
Wow.
Hold on. We're going off to the weeds now. We're going off to the
yes. All these little side questions about we get focused on the topic and going down a path, and we're continuously being derailed.
All right. Yeah. So I posted something right that about how refraction gets. I mean the lights bends more. Where the medium gets denser, right? Mm-hmm. So, as I was saying, when you're looking downwards, you're looking to a denser medium. So the light's traveling a lot slower. So definitely refraction increases then.
Sure.
Right. So there goes my whole point about him saying, "Oh, when you look down, no, it does not." He was saying that it doesn't. It is negligible.
It's going to be the angle of incidence that you're worried about.
There's
it's
a lot
not
right.
just the medium. Right. It's the angle in which you're viewing.
Right.
So,
So
let's
when you're
let's
looking
test
3
it.
degrees down,
Elbows.
you're not looking 90 degrees. Are you looking 90 degrees or you're looking 3 degrees?
Can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead, Warren.
Does light actually bend?
Yes.
Well, that's the question, because ultimately, like what Jeremy had brought up originally when we were talking about this is, so what he's describing essentially is an angle. Like if you have horizontal, like imagine your eyes were at auto level and you have your horizontal, you have that. What they need to account for is the observations that don't fit a globe Earth. So then they bring in this refractive effect, which, like I was saying before, has the radius value, and then they use that to describe the how it can actually be, like what Bio was saying, like quote unquote observed in reality. That's how that. But they use the calculations afterwards with the assumed R to reverse it, and that's why when Jeremy said, because then we got into R and we're like, okay, how do we prove R? And then we were saying refraction. It's like you're using the thing that you're assuming to prove the thing that you're assuming.
Yep.
But the question is, does light bend?
Why do you need an answer to that question? Of course, light bends.
That's what he does, man.
Okay, prove how light bends.
Yeah,
then,
he just asks a whole gish gallop of unanswerable questions. I've talked to Wardenclyffe before.
Yep. That's what I'm talking about. He's continuously derailing the conversation.
No, if light bends, prove light bends, please.
We're looking at the papers that actually
prove it
prove
right
that.
now.
So
It's
not
prove it right now. You want to get this over with or no?
Look at a straw.
the water.
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Straw in a glass.
Let's give Jeremy the floor. Wardenclyffe, maybe just take a little break for a minute. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay, so there can only be one straight line to two points that aren't moving, right? There's only going to be one straight line between two static points. Now, if one day, pretend my head is one of the static points and an oil rig is another static point. If light wasn't bending, we would see this thing wouldn't move. It would always be in the same spot day after day after day, right? But we see it apparently move. It's not actually moving because it's a static thing. An oil rig, it's not moving. However, from our view, it appears to be moving. We have an apparent position on it. If light wasn't bending, we would have an actual position, because there can only be one straight line in between 2 points, right?
Excellent, Jeremy.
I can't have the oil rig 5 feet above the water one day, and then the next day it's 30 feet above the water. Only one of those can be a straight line. So that's all.
A straight line on that day, correct?
Yeah. So the next day it's not in the straight line anymore, which means the light was either bending the day before or today it's bending. It can't be a straight line.
No. The next day it's a straight line. Because
can I ask the counter question then, Warden?
Are different.
Can you demonstrate to us that light does travel in straight lines? Where is your evidence?
There's not even a question.
Wait, how could his question be a derail, but if you reverse it back to him, it's not?
Because we're now on this topic. We're now on these rails.
Listen, light is bending. It's not even a question.
Said
if it wasn't bending, hold on, Warden.
I said prove it, and you haven't.
I did. Did you hear what I said? Hold on a second.
No, you didn't. You didn't prove. You stated something.
It's in the chat. It's in the chat, please. There's a video. These basic fucking concepts we don't need to spend 10 minutes on.
Warden, we have points, right? There can only be one straight line in between them, right? So day one, I draw a straight line to the object. Hold on, I'm going to explain this to you. It's real simple. Day one, my head is one of the points. The oil rig's the other one. Day one, I make a straight line to the oil rig. It's 5 feet above the ocean, right? The next day, we're still there. The next day, now I make another straight line, and it's 20 feet above the ocean. So in reality, there can only be one straight line in between 2 points, right? You're not going to have two different straight lines. Those both can't be straight lines, right? Do we agree? Do we agree that both of those lines aren't going to be straight lines? One of those lines can be a straight line?
Looks like he's been muted.
I do agree with you, Jeremy. I think your example was just fine.
Yes, I do too, and it's very simple to understand. I don't know why he doesn't get it.
He doesn't not get it. He just always, every time I've talked to him, he just asks these questions about words you've said halfway through a sentence.
Yeah, it
and then
seems
you
to
start
be
talking about them for 40 minutes, and then he asks you
Like
another question about a word you said halfway through a sentence.
Well, I think the main transition
call it.
was fine though. I mean, we can kind of just hop through, like, you know, if it's just like an open discussion like this. I mean, as long as the topic doesn't go completely on something different. But I mean, because the original point was BioDual presenting this mathematics and refraction theories. Like I said, I mentioned those three that it listed in that paper. And then, of course, that R radius, it's a lot of complicated mathematics and equations and functions and formulas that they then are plugging the R radius value into. And so that is why, you know, he presented it. And then how is that occurring? And we're starting to get into that. And then the radius. And then that's when Wardenclyffe brought up the...
Yeah, so let's not get derailed here. What's the...
Yeah, does light bend?
You got the... Hold on, Gio. They got the R value in here as proof of how the light's bending, or their formulas for how the light's where it's supposed to be and shit. How'd you get the R?
It isn't that at all. Whether the Earth is flat or a globe, light will bend. We can calculate and make these predictions given those variables. If we want to predict how refraction is going to affect things in the distance when we view them in reality, knowing the shape of the Earth is just as important to make these predictions. And that it is required to know the shape of the Earth. So when you put in a radius, because it is a sphere, you come to accurate predictions. If you don't do that, you will have inaccurate predictions.
Okay, this isn't a science prediction, all right? What kind of prediction is this?
What, given particular values, what are we going to see 3 miles away at sea level? What are we going to see 100 meters in the air when we look at that mountain 50 miles away? Those types of predictions.
Yeah, so I could easily just say, well, if light's bending up on a flat Earth, I predict we're going to see 3 miles from a 6-foot observer height to the horizon because light's bending up. And I just put my flat Earth math. I just reverse your globe numbers.
Sure.
I reverse your globe numbers, and now we have the opposite prediction.
That's one.
You know.
Sure, that's one way. But here's a very specific example in which you don't do that. Is when Rumpus and Ranty asked for predictions of a particular observation. Did anyone give a prediction other than the light's going to bend a particular way? Did anyone have a prediction of?
My refraction model predicts it's going to be about 6 inches per mile squared upward light refraction. So the mountain's going to appear lower. That's my what my model predicts.
I know, and that's very vague because the specific prediction that the globe is going to make is going to say at this altitude with the theodolite set up perpendicular from vertical, we're going to see the mountain peak at this particular deviation from horizontal. That's the prediction.
It's a challenge so I can put the prediction, you know, where they can understand.
And that's exactly how. And that's exactly how we would. And that's exactly how we would see it. Light's bending up on over a flat plane. That's our prediction.
Well, they're going to have to measure it, and then they're going to have to apply. They're going to have to apply a made-up refraction model to adjust it because it's going to look flatter than the globe predicts. With my model, you just apply the fucking the formula, and bam, that's your prediction.
No, all you need to do is show how light refracts opposite of what it's demonstrated to do.
Show me that demonstration. You just claimed it. I've been waiting. Finally, somebody can demonstrate long distance light refracting downward.
No, you've seen it. You've seen it in the sugar water. Light bends towards the denser medium. We have a dense gradient in the atmosphere. So, you know, there you go.
And what that happens, I want to see light refracting any kind of demonstration. I want to see light refracting downward like it's claimed, because I can show you lasers. I got a video with about half a dozen examples of light refracting upward.
Black swan.
Yeah, so Jeremy, I tagged Ruhith. So if you're confident about being able to make predictions without using a radius, assuming a flat Earth, I'm sure he'd be interested, and I'm sure he can ask for more details.
Well, Bio, that's kind of
all
old
you gotta
news.
do.
That's pretty old news at this point. I mean, that was an old thing that those guys were doing back then. And I did hours talking to Ruhith about it, and we hashed that all out. If you're talking about that, and Lemonbird also was there as well, and he. So yeah, I mean, what horizontal would be is is known because you know the elevations of those areas. So yeah, that's that in my understanding, that part really is not in contention. It's just in terms of that whole thing, it's the fact that Ranty and Rue have never went and did it, and the fact that in my viewpoint that auto level is in no way designed for a 90-mile observation. So the margin of error, like that device is not dialed in or tuned or even designed or validated to work at that distance. So that's why I don't think it's an actual
it is
solid way to
measuring
decipher the shape of the Earth either way. Even if saying the Earth is a plane, I still don't think at that distance that's a effective tool.
You can assert that, but it is because the margin of error that exists within a theodolite is to determine distances to things. When you're measuring a deviation from on the vertical axis, when you're measuring that deviation from horizontal, then it's fine to use it out to infinity.
Yeah, but listen, we got to determine what time of day, because in reality it changes. Okay, we're not on a globe measuring geometry. We know that both sides can agree that the observation will change throughout the day. Okay, so you got to specify what time of day before I can apply my model accurately.
Refraction conditions. It's not the time of day that makes it change. It's the refraction conditions caused by the temperature gradient.
Right.
And Brian,
hey, hold on, Bio, for a second. I just, since Rumpus jumped in, I muted Brian just for a sec because just to give Rumpus the floor. And Bio, maybe if you could too, because I was actually about to do that, Rumpus. I'm glad you spoke up because a lot of the same guys were speaking, and I just want to be able to give room, make sure that other people, if they want to get in. But yeah, Rumpus, do you want to share your thoughts on this, or do like a short summary?
Yeah, right. So refraction, there was some idiot earlier saying that looking down does refract. No, it doesn't. It's just like you look down in some water, there's no refraction. You only get refraction when you've got two different mediums when you're looking from the side. You get the maximum refraction when the light is traveling horizontally, as we put it. As for what was I just and what determines the atmosphere, which is a homogeneous medium in effect, but what it is does have different density at different altitudes, and it's the density that causes light to slow down, which is what causes it to bend. It's the actual speed of light that causes it to bend, and that's affected by the density. So the density of the medium changes the speed of light, which causes it then to bend. So the time of day is absolutely irrelevant. You could be at 12 noon and on a cold day with a constant gradient, and you could have the same refraction conditions as a hot day with a similar, with a different temperature or whatever. So the time of day is irrelevant. What matters is the temperature gradient, which leads to a density gradient, and light does bend down. And we know that there is refraction. Someone else was disputing the lack of refraction. For God's sake, we see things go out and go out. What do you think a mirage is, for God's sake? That demonstrates that light is being bent. That's the only way for accounting for it. We've got pictures in the laser tanks that demonstrate light bends. And then you can actually come up with an analogous situation to what's in the atmosphere, which we know that anybody can measure the pressure and density of the air next to the ground and higher up at Everest. We all know that it's at Everest is something like 30% of the pressure, 30% of the density. It's slightly not quite right, but it's close enough. And that we know in physics causes an increase in the lack of density as you go high, and increase as you go low causes light to bend down. It's basic physics. So that's why we know that light bends down. And we also got pictures of this. I mean, even Dr. Zach, when he did his observations on Lake Balaton, whether it was, shows the light bending down. We have other images of lasers bending down, as well as in water. The water situation with the sugar water is exactly analogous, but very closely analogous to what happens in the atmosphere.
That's a lot. Hold on, Rumpus, you got to take a breath at some point. That is a lot. Thank you very much. That was awesome. I know Brian wants to respond, but would anyone else like to respond as well? Because I know Brian would like to as well, but I just want to give someone else a chance to respond to Rumpus.
Okay, it's fine.
Sure. So do you have any of the, I don't know. I've been over this with Rumpus 100 times. He agreed with me at first till he accidentally debunked the main surveyor on Brandon's one night about how you would even measure this, about how you would measure the refraction. Remember, we were all in agreement about what you would need to know which way the light was bending. And then once you found out what you said debunked the main surveyor, you were like, oh, no. You don't need all that. Remember that night?
No, you just got confused as usual.
Yeah.
What?
So do you have any measurements?
You do need to know the vertical temperature gradient across your optical corridor. So, for instance, my rect observation is going across 6 miles. So, in theory, you want to know what the vertical temperature gradient is, which leads to the density gradient, which leads to the behavior of the refraction. And if you have an inverted
just temperature,
which
sorry, no, you need the
leads to a calculation.
You need the temperature gradient, the vertical temperature. So in other words, you need to know, say that what I'm going to be doing is measuring the temperature at 5 meters, every 50 centimeters from the water level up to 5 meters. And from that, I can get the vertical temperature gradient. I mean, things
and
like
you're measuring just temperature.
Yes, and for instance, people like globe busters get confused that they think it's the temperature gradient going horizontally. No, that doesn't have any effect at all. That's like looking down through water. That doesn't cause refraction. What causes refraction is a vertical temperature gradient. But that doesn't vary very much over even miles. So Jeremy gets obsessed when he's just referring to this previous discussion how he wanted to be measuring the vertical temperature gradient every 100 meters or something. Absolutely unnecessary. Surveyors do this.
Would you be able to do it just?
Surveyors do this. They only measure actually the temperature gradient at either end, and they don't even bother to do the gradient. Sometimes they just take the temperature, providing it's the same. They assume the same temperature gradient. In fact, the standard day, you can then say.
You're doing good, but can we just keep it at one point at a time? Because you're saying so many things at once.
So the point is that
let Brian go.
Jeremy wanted to make observations of the optical corridor. Lots of them you don't need to, is the basic result.
I only wanted to make one point real quick. Is that I've been waiting on demonstration. I've got demonstrations for y'all to support light refracting upwards, several of them, and we've also got several with sky free, letting cold air in and giving you exact measurements on the ground, in the air. We know we got a better understanding of what light does. It's not exactly what y'all are claiming. The temperature does have something to do with it, but we want something. Please come back when you have something besides showing us laser in a fish tank. Please give us actual observations with starting from no bias, pretty much. We want demonstrations. We give y'all. We ask for them back. Thank you.
What I've done, what I've posted in the chat, if you scroll up to, I guess I could just post it again, is something very close to showing a temperature, bending something without water, and it is an iron. Somebody's got a laser pointer and put an iron next to it, and the hot, moist air coming out of the iron is able to bend the laser pointer, which I think is a pretty good demonstration of a change in temperature, causing a change in density in the air, moving a laser pointer.
Let me clarify that, because we show lasers actually going off in the distance, bending upwards, okay? With refracting as a...
Where, Brian?
Let me post it. Let me post the video, man. I just took a bunch of compilations of like orthogonal views.
Just one will do.
All right, I'm gonna post I'll post a video and I'll give you a timestamp when I come back. But besides that, you have seen Sky Free, them opening the garage door, Pebbles on the pond, shout out to him. We want to see actual observations of cold air in the actual atmosphere. We don't want to see, it's one thing, you get our attention with laser beams and fish tanks and butane and stuff like that. We want actual demonstrations in the actual atmosphere.
Well, the example that Brian's referring to is this video. Perhaps most of us have seen it. Perhaps some of us haven't. Where he's got some lights and things and blocks on the floor in a garage, and in a heated garage, and then it's cold. There's cold outside. And he's got the garage door closed. He then opens up the door, and then the cold air comes in, and then he closes the door, and then you see inferior mirages. Only a couple of inches high.
He did it with heated. He did it heated. He did it cool.
Can I just finish, Brian? Can I just finish? Okay. And then, so these blocks are only a couple of inches high, but nonetheless, cold air comes in, and then that means that the air, the floor is still warm, and then so immediately the thing's closed, and the floor then starts to warm up the air just above it, just like it does on a sunny day, and that generates little inferior mirages. So it's exactly the same process that we see on a hot road with tarmac, which warms up the air, that reduces the density, and then that means that the light bends in a different way, and that's why you get mirages, interior
You've seen
mirages.
some of the demonstrations, Rumpus. You've seen some of them, but if you look at all their content, you'll see where they've also did it with the garage cooled and the floor colder. Okay, there's all kinds of different phenomenon. They've done more than you're describing. They've done a whole lot, man. We're getting to the bottom of it. You know, no thanks to y'all ain't helping very much.
I understand the effects perfectly. And it's basically, as I say, it's like a hot road with the sun beating on it. Now, normally, the way the work.
What about the cold room?
Hold on, Brian.
The normal situation in the atmosphere is the denser air is on the ground, nearest the ground, because it's like bottom of a swimming pool. You've got all this air being pulled down by gravity, and so that means that the air at the bottom is compressed. Like water doesn't compress, so you don't get the compression, but it still gets higher pressure, which means in air it compresses. So you get dense air right at the ground level. Well, what happens on a sunny day is that the ground, particularly on a piece of hot black tarmac, warms up, and then that causes the air actually to be less dense at the ground level than it normally is, and the air above is actually slightly more dense. So you get an inversion of the normal situation, and that's why you're getting three mirages. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, we heard you, bro. But what about the when the floor was colder? Okay, and what about when the temperatures were the same when he let in different air? Okay, look, he's very. Please let me finish, bro. I'm almost done. He's done all kinds of different variations. He's done the like heating up water vapor for humidity. I mean, he's done more than you're just pointing out the hot tarmac. Yeah, okay, we will give you credit that we can get an inferior mirage from that sometimes, but it's all dependent on other things. It's a dynamic system, man. And that's why
the water vapor thing's irrelevant. I haven't seen an example. How did he cool the floor and have warm air come in then? If you're going to do the reverse situation,
summertime with AC.
Right. So he's cooled the garage with AC, such it's cool in there, and then he's got a hot outside. But I bet you it will not behave in the same way. It'll do the inverse. It'll do the inverse operation. Then it won't generate.
Well, this reminds me of when Pebbles on the Pond. Remember he did those presentations on Brandon's where he showed that with the warehouse and then opened the door. Yep, that was it. That was very interesting when he did that.
Perhaps I'm getting mine confused. That's the video I'm referring to. Brian seems to be referring to. These are different videos, are they, Brian? Sorry, perhaps I'm getting mixed up with being Pebbles on the Pond.
Yeah. Well, I agree. Go to Sky Free and look at their different types of observations, and I'll try and find some other ones. But yeah, we've seen them coupled at the same time as you did. But trust me, they've done a whole lot more than just them couple you've seen on Brandon.
Sky Free, so I think I've seen his stuff or her stuff, whatever it was.
So yeah, Sky Free's got a lot of great content.
Is Sky Free the one that does the little the boat running across the lake?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen all this stuff. I'm not quite sure what Brian's referring to. If you want to give me a link, Brian, to a particular one that you, I'll be interested.
Hold on, real quick. Anyone listening?
Look at Sky Free. Go get an update. Sorry, go ahead.
If anyone's listening and you want to join the conversation, look us up. We're in Earth Awakenings on Discord. Feel free to come in and just listen or join us. Thank you.
Yep, yeah, and the link to join the server it's actually on the stream down in the lower right part of the stream. You can actually go right to that link, or it's also in the video descriptions for the YouTube stream, the Twitch stream, and the Dlive stream.
So you're saying, Brian, that Sky Free has done videos of garages that have been cooled by AC and then opening up a door. Is that correct?
Yeah. And no, I think that was Pebbles on the Pond.
Yes, exactly.
Hold on, dude. Hold on. You even know where to find this stuff? Hold on. Listen, Sky Free, you obviously aren't up to date with Sky Free, so I'm gonna recommend that you go. God dang, Rumpus, chill out, bro.
You told me, and I said it was the and you said that Sky.
Well, okay. Let me try to see what I'm understanding where we're at right now. Brian, you were talking about reversing the heat and the temperature gradient purposefully to get a particular reading and how that can change and so on. And then you were mentioning having AC and then bringing in heat. Now, were you just saying that in general as a concept? Are you saying that would be fun interesting to do more tests with that? Or are you saying that you have a particular one that has been done that has validated or made this definitive for you? Like maybe we should start there.
Actually, he's correct. Grant's correct. Actually, look, news just in. There is a
Let me make a
Garage
point real quick.
Mirage by
I'm
Sky.
almost positive that Sky Free has a demonstration of Pebbles on the Pond also on their channel. So I recommend that Rumpus go and update. Look at Sky Free in case you didn't get some notifications.
I'm looking at their Garage Mirage video. Is that theirs, or are you saying that's Pebbles on the Beach video?
They've both done it, bro. They've both done it. So I'm trying to tell you.
Right. So there's a thing called Garage Mirage on Sky Free's thing, which does what Brian is talking about.
Okay, so then how does that?
Okay, I haven't seen
play into this exchange. Does that change your view, Rumpus, or what does that do?
I mean, I haven't seen this video. They've only posted it about 10 days ago, so I must admit I haven't seen this one. But this
I want to make a point.
This girl is quite good. She actually takes the temperature of the things she does. So yes, so she's actually trying to be moderately scientific for a flash.
Yeah, well, what she's done is very consistent. She's done very consistent observations from the same point at their new location, and what they have shown, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that light is not doing what Rumpus here is claiming. And before you deny it, okay, let's just say I'm wrong, okay? Before you point that, go look at what they've done. They've took a single observation point, and did observations, short range and long range, and compared them and did them day after day. And the weather does have something to do with it, but there's more to it than that. And so I recommend you watch it. So if there's something I'm missing, you can fill me in.
I've seen those, Brian. There's nothing in there that's not explained by my understanding of refraction. When you say the weather's got something to do with it, it's got everything to do with it. It's to do with the vertical temperature gradients.
No, I said temperature has something to do with it, but it's not everything. Listen, you'll get inferior mirages. Go to Travis the Plain Truth. He's probably jumping out of his seat right now, man. He shows mirages in all sorts of weather, man. Inferior mirages dominate the horizon as far as mirages go, as far as refraction. But like I said, man, so you've watched all of. I just recommend you skim through Sky Free's content because there's some stuff you're missing.
I've only missed the last one that was done on the 10th of December.
Well, Rumpus, these are the discussion of like getting into the details of the actual structures of refraction and the different claims and the understandings of how that physics is working. But how about, let me ask you this, where in that process for you does the radius of the Earth come in, and how does that plug into it in order to make the whole process that you're doing complete?
Right. Well, the refraction does happen to a greater extent on the Earth than it does on a flat surface, because the temperature gradient goes around a curve, and that actually causes the refraction effect. I mean, myself and someone called Phil Nye modeled this about 2 years ago when we were doing the Isle of Man explanations, and we found when we did this, mathematically modeled it, that in fact a curved surface, and then of course people like Slice Barkane says that you only get refraction on a curved surface. He's wrong, but what he is correct about is you get more. Well, in fact, he's got all sorts of things wrong. He doesn't understand. But anyway, he goes on about the fact it's only a curved surface, and a lot of people claim that only refraction occurs, only it happens on a curved surface. But what happens is that it happens more on a curved surface than it does on a flat plane. So if you want to model it, and you want to model refraction on a flat plane, it affects less, because ray of light is hitting the gradients at slightly different angles on a curved surface than it is on a flat one. So the effect is greater. So anyway, but you don't.
You mean hold on? Can I interject?
The radius of the Earth is not determined solely by doing observations on the of curving light. That's the one of many ways we know the radius of the Earth. So it's not as though it's not circular reasoning or begging the question. We've established the radius of the Earth by about 50 billion different ways, and then we can plug in those values to then use the refraction thing. It's not dependent. We do not rely on the value of the radius of the Earth.
Okay, man. We heard it. You mentioned earlier these hypothetical.
You kept on interrupting me, preventing me.
I know you're monologuing, bro. We're in live.
Yeah, I hadn't got to the punchline. You already started to interrupt me.
You're repeating yourself.
No, I
wasn't. Get to the punchline, then. Go ahead. Get to the punchline. Go.
We're doing good. We're doing good, Rumpus, but it is a lot. You have to understand that's a lot of information to take in at once.
I appreciate that.
Okay, I tried to politely interrupt, and you wouldn't let me. I don't know why.
Well, because I was coming to the punchline.
What was it?
The punchline is that the value of the radius of the Earth is not dependent on refraction calculations.
So you can do these refraction calculations without having the radius of the Earth?
There are
You don't need the
lots
radius
of
value.
ways of determining the radius of the Earth, and I said this 3 times, and obviously you didn't hear it because you were interrupting me, besides using optical devices with refraction allowances.
Show us, please.
And for instance, the Eratosthenes experiment. There, you see, as I described earlier, you get maximum refraction when you're looking horizontally. And that's what we're doing in these sorts of observations that SkyJane. But the Eratosthenes experiment, where you're looking up, say 45 degrees up in the sky, there, the refraction effects are much, much, much less. And that's why when Blue Marble and Bob the Science Guy attempted to determine the radius of the Earth using the Eratosthenes method, they got within about 2%. Whereas if you start without allowing for refraction.
Well, Rumpus, let me ask you this. Okay, do you agree that we see too far in general? That the Earth that we see further than the... Okay, let me rephrase that.
Yeah,
do you agree that we see further than the geometry of a globe Earth should dictate?
Correct.
Okay, and I'm gonna go with you, and I'm gonna say that I'm on your side. I'm going with this for the moment. This idea that, okay, Earth is curving, we have this density gradient, okay. But you do agree that we see too far.
Not too far. We see as far as we'd expect to see in the atmosphere that we've got.
But we
see more
geometric.
Yeah, we see further than the geometry of the Earth says, correct.
Yes, okay. So the reality is that we see further than the geometry of a spherical Earth would allow for. Now,
that's like saying mirages prove something. They don't. They just prove refraction.
Well, hang on. Let me just finish my thought. Let me just bring it around, and then I'll throw it back to you. But I'm trying to get to. Okay, so if the observation is that we see further, you're then claiming, that this refraction that you're describing is causing this to be the case,
correct.
And the radius value is plugged into those. So how is that actually proving what's happening rather than just assuming? For example, if I wanted to say it's concave and I just want to plug in a radius value of a concave Earth, does that prove concave?
Right, but the way this works is that you say the distance to the horizon, for instance, when you say as far as you can see, which let's say the distance to the horizon, that calculation, if you do it geometrically, has R in it. But the refraction stuff in there modifies the calculation by this factor of 7/6. So the R comes from doing the calculation of the distance to the horizon, and then the refraction modifies it. So it's not as though the refraction
of the sphere, right?
The 7/6 is a factor you apply to the existing calculation. It's not something that comes up just from refraction.
He's asking if you could give something besides
embedded in the calculation for determining the distance you can see on an Earth.
When we're asking for proof of a sphere, we ask that you use the math that doesn't assume the sphere. Now, there's ways to do it, Rumpus. If you could, if it was possible, you'd have done it.
Use the Eratosthenes technique that Bob did and Blue Marble did. That'll do it. That's not refraction dependent because you use it on a sun that's above 45 degrees or something.
So is that more reliable?
Yes, it does. You didn't listen to what I said earlier, did you? I said if you want to avoid the issues of refraction, you do something like the Eratosthenes technique with a sun that's high in the sky, and that gives you a very accurate result. You don't have to allow for refraction.
So aren't you having to assume the distance of the sun and the size of the sun? Rumpus, bring this proof on. Enough with this BS. This is old, man. We want demonstration, man.
Hold on, Brian.
Blue Marble
real
did
quick,
it.
Rumpus, real quick. Can I jump in real quick? Are you ever going to let somebody get... Thank you. Now, we've done Eratosthenes over a flat surface, but all we've done is change the way the light source works. And everything works fine. It all lines.
No, it doesn't.
All we did was change
Sorry.
All we did was change your presupposition of how the sky works and how the light works coming to us, and it works perfectly fine on a flat Earth. I have it posted in the Eratosthenes section in Brandon's channel. The guy does it. It does all the math. It works out.
Right. So, in other words, what you're doing, saying, don't assume that the sun is the sun is a long way away. Let's assume that the sun is local and the Earth is flat. And if you do that, you end up with calculations that the Earth is about 3,000 miles away. The trouble is, it works if you just do 2 observations with the Eratosthenes technique. But if you do a third, you then get a different result.
The one I'm talking about.
Let me finish, Jeremy. Let me finish. If you then do a third observation, then you end up with 3 different positions for the sun if you assume the Earth is flat. The only
that's
time
fine. I hear
that
what you're saying. I hear what you said, and you're wrong.
You're not letting me finish. And if you do not do that, but you assume that the Earth is a sphere of the radius that you get the sun in the same position. And
you're wrong.
came to the video in which he had these how many observations of people around the world, and they all only had an angle that worked with the position in this particular position when you took the Earth to be a sphere. Finish. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so Brian, you're hot. Brian, you're hot miking, and for B, Rumpus, you're wrong. The guy must have had about 10 toothpicks on the table. Okay, and it all lined up to one spot, all lined up to the same spot. All he did.
Jeremy,
Rumpus, that's not. Hold on, Rumpus. I'm gonna have to temporarily mute you. That's not fair. Let's let him finish. Go ahead, Jeremy. You had a really long time, so be fair.
All the guy did was, I wanted to stop you off the rip. You were wrong off the rip. I mean, anyways, the guy used probably 10 or more toothpicks. All he did was change the light source. He changed the way the light source was working on the way to the toothpicks, and voila, we've managed to get it to work on a flat surface.
No, we're talking about 3 different locations here, Jeremy. Not.
He had 10 toothpicks.
You're saying you're trying to model a flat Earth. You're saying he's tried to model it with some toothpicks on a thing. Is that what you're saying? He's not actually.
He had a flat plane. He had toothpicks. He had a light source. Okay, it all worked out. They all lined up to the same light source. All he did was change the way the light source works. But your guys' presupposition of how the sky works is not going to fly here.
No, Jeremy,
we know this can happen on a flat plane.
If you do real-world observations of the angle to the sun, and then you assume the Earth is flat, you end up with 3 different positions for the sun, and you also get 3 different heights. It doesn't work in the real world.
What's that got to do with anything? Okay.
What are you assuming?
If you assume the Earth is
We
flat,
can't prove that one way or another,
3
Rumpus.
different positions. If you take real-world observations, assume the Earth is a sphere and the sun is a long way away, you get the sun at the same position.
Rumpus, if you're looking at Polaris, if I'm on the right side of the Earth and I'm looking straight up or straight toward the horizon at Polaris at sunset, and then you're on the other side of the Earth looking straight at the horizon, seeing Polaris, same thing. It's same thing. You're looking in your model, you're looking in different directions. You look at people looking at the sun, period. They are looking in different directions. In reality, they are looking in different directions. Now, the claim is that the sun is large and far away. And that would have to be proven. Now, my claim to say that it's not is that when we see I'm almost done. When we see the sun, how would we know if it's far away or close? Okay, look at what it illuminates. So if we see clouds and the distance on the horizon, only the local clouds are illuminated, proving that it's not 93 million miles away.
Right. We know the sun is 93 million miles away because we bounced radars off it. We've currently got a thing called the Parker Solar Orbiter going around it at this very moment. And you can tell from parallax calculations that it's a long way because it doesn't move. And if you do the real world observations, for instance, if you were to go and collect, Brian, 3 people on the same longitude and ask them what the angles of the sun, which is what Sly Sparkane did, and you then take their angles and you say, right, say someone at 45 degrees near the equator and, I don't know, somewhere like UK at 50 degrees, and you all ask them to say what is the angle to the sun at solar noon, then you try and draw those on a flat plane and they will give you 3 different answers for the position of the sun. Whereas if you take the sun as being far away and you assume that the Earth is circular, you get in the same position.
Okay, very good. So you're using triangulation, saying that we're getting different sun positions. Hold on, please. Okay, so my question to you is, let's triangulate on a globe, because if we triangulate 1 degree away, we get 3959 as the sun height, and we could be on both sides of the sun. If we're 69 miles away, we'll get 1 degree triangulated on a globe. Okay.
I don't understand what you mean by triangulating on a globe. And
no, you're forcing triangulation on us.
Hold
on, Jeremy.
Point is,
Jeremy, real quick, he's forcing triangulation on us, but then he doesn't want to be fair and apply it to his model. Because, well, how else are you saying the sun's in different positions, Rumpus?
Oh, well, on a flat Earth, yes. So on a flat Earth, you would end up with triangulation effects.
Okay, have you ever tried Rumpus? Have you ever triangulated on a globe? Have you ever tried to triangulate?
It gives you 3 different positions for the sun. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I know, man. You told us 10 times. Now, Listen, have you ever tried to triangulate a reflection?
No.
No, you haven't.
No.
Hold
You should try to triangulate a reflection and then You should try to triangulate a reflection and realize why your presuppositions of how the sky working is totally wrong.
So you
or
think
could be total? It could be totally wrong.
Do you think the sky's a reflection? Do you?
I'm just letting you know when you start presupposing how the sky works, you end up in this
we know how
little box that you're.
We know the sun is 93 million miles away.
You can't validate the medium.
It's a model. Rumpus, ultimately, it is a model. And I wanted just to say real quick, we've only got, so what we're going to do is we're going to end the show at 4 o'clock. Well, 4 o'clock my time at 8 minutes, basically. I'm going to end this actual live show because this is actually just going to be the 2-hour show. But right away, I'm going to start up an after show stream that'll be streaming everything. So it'll just, it'll be 2 videos on the channel, the 2-hour show and then the after show. So we can definitely continue going. But before the actual, scheduled show is out, I just wanted to kind of open the floor up in these last 5 or 10 minutes. If anyone else had anything to say or anything that was on their mind, or even like a little topic or a little like news or updates or anything like that. Just wanted to leave the space for that before we close out.
If I can make my final point, guys, my final point is they forced triangulation on a flat Earth model to claim that the sun is in multiple spots. Now, as far as the sextant goes, the height of the sun or stars do not matter in either model. Now, my point being is that they force triangulation on a flat Earth to get different suppositions, but they have also stipulations on a globe Earth. Because like I said, if you triangulate the sun from 1 degree away on whatever model on the globe, you get 3958.7, same as their radius. That's a little suspicious, don't you think, people? So they're not giving you all the facts.
That's gibberish. I've no idea what you mean. I don't think you've got yourself completely confused there.
All right. Well, so Rumpus, we are doing kind of the closing thoughts. If you want to do yours, but if you want to do yours, but if you could keep it as brief, just to be respectful to everyone else, because we've got about 7 minutes.
I'll only be a minute if that. Right. So as I said, I can do a presentation perhaps on how you would calculate on a flat Earth. In fact, what we could do is we could get some observations of the angle to the sun, perhaps real world observations at different latitudes, and then we could from that attempt to determine what the position of the sun is, knowing the distance between the observers. And the basic thing is you can do trigonometry. If you know the distance between 2 points on the ground and you know the angle to the thing you're looking at, you can use simple trigonometry to determine how high it is. And if you do that with the flat Earth, you end up with 3,000 miles. If you do at the point that Aristophanes did it, but if you do it at a different latitude, you end up with a different elevation. And if you have a third observer, then all the calculations give you 3 different positions. And we can go through that perhaps in some other time. But Brian,
that's what happens when.
No, he says that he's never triangulated it with a globe.
My turn for closing thoughts, Brian. Hold on, bro. We're doing closing thoughts, dude. We can get into this after, but I just want to say, when you presuppose how the sky's working, like I said, if Rumpus had ever tried to triangulate a reflection, he would understand why this presupposition he has of how the sky works. And I know he thinks he knows how the sky works because he's been told so, but in the meantime, we can't verify or validate the mediums or what's going on up there. I mean, so it's unverifiable the shit that they're saying.
We bounce radars off the sun. We know exactly how far it is.
Rumpus, it's closing thoughts, bro. You don't have to respond every single time, man.
The radar bounce is highly dependent for the distance. The radar bounce is highly dependent on the medium in between us and the sun. So I just want to put that out there. Anyways, thank you. That's all. Feel free to join us anytime here. Earth Awakenings. Holler at your boy.
Right on. Yeah. Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah. Anyone else who hasn't had a chance to speak or any final thoughts? Go ahead, Lloyd.
I got one which is kind of like the theme of the day, for me, with all these contradictions. They'll say they can triangulate the distance to the sun, but they can't on their globe. But they can on flat Earth, but they get the wrong answer. Or like they'll tell you they know what gravity is. It's a force that's not a force, and they don't know what it is.
You expect anything different from Mr. We Do, We Don't over here?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to, that there's so many contradictions in the globe, just logic, that it's hard to even have a conversation about it. Because you're not sure, they'll say that if you disagree with the globe, the burden of proof is on you. But they disagree with each other. They can't even come up with a logical, consistent model to present in the first place.
We don't say the burden of proof's on you. Say burden of proof's on us.
All right, Rumpus, you'll have to be okay. Thank you, Crit.
Yep. Thanks for the show.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone else? Any other closing thoughts? Go ahead.
I wanted to say a few things. No, you go ahead, Left Lane.
I was just going to congratulate Gio on the show. We look forward to its progress. Everybody remember to subscribe, like, and hit the bell notification. On the conversation itself, I appreciate a conversation that makes progress. And even if we come to a disagreement, it comes to some conclusion. And it seems that some people come in to try to derail and inhibit the conversation and the progress. And, there was one guy came in and apparently he got muted and he left. So maybe that was his intention. But, I look forward to having progressive and respectful conversations in the future. So everybody come over and listen and join in.
Yeah, I wanted to say a few words. I was glad to see the server up and running again. Glad to see everybody having nice discussions. But I do think that what applies here is the meaning of insanity, which is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. We could see that already from these characters that we've known for 5, 4, 6 years, that they don't budge on anything, no matter how illogical it is, what they're saying, how they keep claiming the Earth is a globe, but we have to make it, for simplicity's sake, we do all the calculation on a flat plane. That doesn't seem to make any sense, because if the Occam's razor is a globe, how come you have to make it a flat plane to try to get, it's all convoluted. They have absolutely no proof, and they know this, which is why I think they're fighting so hard, because the conclusion would be that we have no idea what the hell we're on, and that could seem terrifying for some people. It's scary for them. So I understand why they fight so hard to defend the nonsense.
If we're just making underhanded insults, I just want everyone to scroll up in chat, see who provides evidence for their claims, and see who doesn't. Thank you.
Hold on. Let me respond to you, since you feel so obligated to respond to me. Your side cannot provide any proof for anything, and if you could, none of you contributed to that proof. You're simply picking out proof that's been provided to you, and you're handing it out. None of you can provide first-hand proof for anything. Thank you.
Do you want my playlist of Cavendish doing and manipulated in different ways?
We've talked about this already. The Cavendish proves nothing. It proves nothing.
Hold on, guys. We can do that in the after show for sure. But Matrix, did you have any? Was that your final? Because I think Bio.
Yeah. That's my final thing. And Bio, the Cavendish doesn't prove anything, and you already know it.
All right. Thanks, Matrix. Yeah, Bio. Did you want to any closing statements?
No. I'll reiterate what I said. Scroll up in the chat, see who validates their claims and who doesn't. I'm going to post my playlist right now to directly address what Jay just said, that we don't do anything.
I'm going to jump in because I was actually trying to get in when Crit kind of jumped all over me, and then other people came in. I actually love discussions also that actually progress somewhere. And I have to agree that some people seemed that they were asking questions to hinder progress instead of make progress forwards. And I'll give an example. For example, questions that ask, is that data or is that evidence? Well, that there's a faulty assumption behind that something can either be data or it can be evidence. It cannot be both. Of course, that's a wrong assumption. I could make an infinite amount of stupid questions like that stop the discussion. For example, is that a picture or is it evidence? Are those words or are those evidence? I can rename anything that you can give me, and I can ask, well, see, you posted a picture, it wasn't evidence. So
yeah, that's why we stopped that from happening. Yeah. We stopped it.
Yeah. Well, Lori, I appreciate. Yeah, thank you for your thoughts. I appreciate that as well. And one thing about like I was saying originally when at the opening of the show, I'll just I guess this will just be my final thoughts. We can go longer. I mean, I want to try to keep the actual shows, roughly 2 hours, but we can go 5 minutes over or something, just so people who wanted to do final thoughts, just so we can complete it. I will just kind of say mine now. Well, I'll just say that at the beginning I mentioned how there's kind of the 5 different modes of how this show will run. So today was more the open topic, open discussion. So it was, was that. But in terms of what you guys are talking about, like being productive or the idea of derailings or any of those ideas, or even the idea of some people that like are maybe saying a lot of the same things with the other structures of this show, we can do things where somebody could actually give like a 20-minute presentation on a particular refraction component, and then it could actually be responded to methodically to its completion. So I'm just saying it won't always necessarily just be a complete open show in that, well, it'll always be open, but I'm saying not just a complete open discussions to where we can try different things to, in terms of trying to have more productivity or have particular people that are involved in particular types of presentations as well. So perhaps that can, just kind of open up some new avenues to ways of going through this, a lot of this stuff, because you're just talking about the productivity. And when it's a fast-paced open discussion, it is kind of hard to get to the conclusion because there's usually so much, in my viewpoint, just brilliance coming out of people's minds, just everything that's being said, and I'm trying to think about it all. But it's like there's so much being said, and then there's so much complexity to these topics. So someone says something, but maybe it's only half said, and then the other person, then they only responded halfway. So that's why, doing more like structured debates and things like that, and we've been, kind of brainstorming on a lot of those ideas, could help to, create structures that could, just be more variety and help to kind of mitigate some of the challenges and then accentuate some of the more positives to be able to do that. So I just want to say that. And then last thing I'll just say, well, actually, I'll say like an absolute final thought when I shut the stream off, but we'll go for a couple more minutes. So I'll just kind of more or less end my thoughts there, and then just open the floor to anyone else that has any more, final thoughts or comments.
Yeah, I've been listening for quite a while, and I think that no matter which side you're on, everybody has too many presuppositions on what the sun is. I mean, if it's far or near, and any observations you do, any measurements, you're firing lasers at the fucking sun, it's at the end of the day, there's no evidence of what the fuck this thing is, and it could be a reflection, it could be dimensional, it could be spiritual, it could be fucking anything. So it's just too many presuppositions on what the sun is to get any accurate measurements and to know whether or not it's a ball or a flat plane or a concave Earth.
Well, I think that
all right, yeah. Thanks,
you
Carlos.
have to start
Go ahead, Roddy.
with. I think you've got to start with some assumptions about something, and if you aren't able to test anything, so you won't be able to determine if the Earth is flat or round. Don't start making assumptions about certain things. What would be valid is to go back and question those assumptions. So to go, we always thought the sun was a ball of gas, that when it was overhead for me, it was not overhead for somebody else, and that found X. And to go back and question those assumptions. But if you don't make assumptions, you can't do the first thing. You can't tie your shoes in the morning because you have to assume that your laces might fall apart, and you don't even know what laces are, and you don't know whether light travels in roughly straight lines but bends sometimes because you don't even know what light is and how it works. That kind of reasoning will mean that you never are able to do anything. So you need to make assumptions, you just need to be able to test them.
Is that it for the final thoughts, by the way?
Well, it could be, unless there's any other final thoughts.
So is the Earth being the same size as Venus? Is that a valid assumption?
Well, Matrix, let's pause right on that. I'm just gonna just close it out then. So we'll do a show tomorrow, same time, same place. I'll put it up in the events tab at the top. So yeah, you can, if you scroll all the way up on the upper left, there's an events tab. You can just click there, and then it will show the event. So I'll post it for tomorrow. And I just wanted to remind everyone, anyone who wants to, either like has a topic idea or wants to do a presentation or like any type of debate or discussion or anything for a future show, you can just scroll all the way down to the create a ticket, and you can create a ticket and then just submit that there, and then for future shows. So yeah, there'll be a show tomorrow. And thanks everyone so much for being here. It was awesome. It was a great first launch show. I appreciate it so much. And then I will. I'm just going to end this stream, and then I'm just going to start another one right away. That will be the after show. So anyone who's listening to the end of the show, if you want to, just go, hear the continued discussions, just go to the show labeled it'll be called Earth Awakenings Live Show number 1 after show. So yeah, I'll create the next one now. And thanks so much, everyone.
Eggshells.
Matrix.
I agree with you with sometimes you have to assume in order to be able to